and welcome back to another segment of Three the Hard Way. I'm Tariq Rashad, John Hunter, Big Game John, and Married Man Rob with a Bachelor of Arts and Science. Be back. If you watched the last segment, we talked some NFL. Now we're gonna talk some NBA. Biggest NBA news that we want to talk about right now: John Wall wants out of Houston, which I think most of us either A saw coming or B had questions about how it was gonna work with Kevin Porter and Jalen Johnson in the backcourt. Jalen Green, Jalen Green in the backcourt. It looks like Houston really wants to go that way. Their chips in. This is a team that historically, I'm starting to think it's ownership now more than coaching or GMs that will go all in with a concept. We've seen it with James Harden being the only person that can dribble, shoot, and score. Then we saw it with we're going to trade the only true center that we have and play true outside the arc basketball. And now we see it here where it seems like, they're going to go all in with one rookie, one second-year player, one from the G League, both from G League, excuse me, right? Neither one of these students went to college, correct?
Yeah. Well, I think Kevin Porter went to college.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Kevin Porter did. Yeah, he did. He went to USC.
My fault. My apologies. So doing it with two very inexperienced players, but at the very end of the day, they are two ballers. So what does that mean for John Wall? What does that mean for Houston? Who do you guys see John Wall going anywhere specific? I believe he still has a huge back end on his contract. So maybe someone buys him out and he ends up on a contender. Where do you see that fit? Let's talk John Wall for a little bit.
Man, I'm saddened. I know going into last season, I had Houston as one of my playoff teams. Boy, was I wrong. It happens, when you make bold predictions, sometimes you look boldly wrong. It just happens. That's what it is. But as far as Houston and John Wall, I think that he'd be a good fit just because, I think him coming back from injury was an adjustment. I know I've listened to multiple podcasts with him about him saying that, I played with two bone spurs in my foot. Now I'm actually fully healthy. So now I'm actually going to play to my full potential. And it just wasn't that. So I can see him making a strong comeback case. I personally would love to see him in Boston. I think him being the player that he is and understanding I can go out there and drop 25 a night if I want to, but I got these two young guns that really just need to be set up. And I think him pushing the pace in Boston and playing a more faster up tempo kind of style of basketball would be amazing for not only Boston, but for John Wall and his stock. So I would personally like to see him in Boston, knowing that they have the assets that could potentially be a fit for them, for Houston.
Man, I hate to see it because I really thought that John Wall would be able to mesh with these guys, and they're young, so he would be able to push the tempo, throw a lot of alley-oop passes, and have some exciting basketball in Houston. But such is life. It's hard to move John Wall. He got $22 million, bro, each year. That's $44 million left on his contract. That's a lot of money. And for the value, and you're talking about trading that guy who's his value may have dropped since he signed that contract, right? He's no longer a top, maybe not. I think John was a top 10 point guard. But he's no longer.
That would be off merit, not off of performance last year.
Right, not off of performance. So it's like, who do you move for him? He's not willing to get a buyout. He's kind of in that Kevin Love situation where he's not trying to give money back to the team. So it's like you're either stuck in Houston or it's hard to move. I don't know where you're going to trade him to. I will say the Knicks, but we already got Kemba, right? So I don't know where to put John Wall. Where I prefer to see him. I would love to see him on the Clippers playing alongside Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, and maybe have Reggie Jackson come off the bench. If that's possible, you might have to throw Reggie Jackson in that trade because of the money. But I think that would be a good fit for him, where his role is reduced more to be a playmaker and a facilitator than actually to be a scorer. And I think that he still can defend at his age. He's still athletic to do so. So he will help them out a lot, especially with Kawhi being out for the first first 4 months of the season. So yeah, that's the best bet for me with John Wall. I would like to see him on Clippers.
I think the Clippers is a great look for John Wall. That would, even with or without Reggie Jackson, I think it's very important to remember John Wall's biggest what he brought to the team most was the fact that he is a true point guard. Yes, he can score. Scoring was not always something that he did. He was more like of a Chris. To me, he reminded me more like Chris Paul. You know, he hovered in that 18, 19 a game area. In fact, he averages 19 a game for his career, where we know he could score. He could score, but he'd make sure that he got others involved. Averages 9.1 assists a game for his career. So he's a 19-9 player. I told you guys before, I think Kawhi needs to step into that granddaddy role of I am the guy. Unfortunately, he's dealing with that injury, so we can't just push that on him yet. He would definitely fit there. Rob, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And this goes with John's perception of point guards. He's 31 years old. He's on a different, and that's why I don't think he's going to work in Houston. He's 31 years old, and I'm saying this at 30 years old, playing in rough touch football. Like, yo, listen, I love the game, but I'm on the back end. I'm on a back nine now. I don't know where we're at on that back nine, but I'm not playing for fun. I'm having fun just being out here, but I have more fun playing to win. And I think John Wall, so when you look at teams that he could go where he could try to, force his way, it would be a team like Boston where they could be, a great both side, two-way point guard away from really taking that next step, even though I think it's a big that they need. LA Clippers. And I'm going to name one more team that I think he would really fit because he's a blue-collar player to me. He's a blue-collar, dive on the floor, extra rebound, fight, scrap, get the crowd involved. So a team that I think he would definitely fit is Indiana. I think Indiana, a guy like him and Rick Carlisle would go great together. He would make the Sabonis and that tandem that they have. Do they still have Miles Turner? Miles Turner was moved.
Still got Miles Turner.
Still have Miles Turner. That tandem up top. You see what you get back with Karis LeVert. You could be looking at something really special in Indiana. To push them over that first round hump that they haven't been able to succeed over the last few years. So I think John Wall could definitely make a contending team a lot better. I don't think adding John Wall at this stage guarantees a championship, but I think he's someone that would be worth, if you are a contending team, he's someone that would be worth paying that $22 million for the next 2 years just to see what he's about. Just to see what, maybe you don't get the best from him this year, but you got 20 and 6 from him last year, his first year after being gone for 2 years. What do you get from him this year? What do you get from him the next year? 31, not old, but up there. So I'm not. The ship hasn't sailed for John Wall for me. I still think he has an opportunity to contribute, and I think he's in that position that John talks about a lot, where point guards are on that back part of their career and they actually play better for winners. They fit schemes better. We got LA. So we talk a lot about Brooklyn, and every time we have this conversation, somewhere or another, is this season, and we did it all last year. We're going to do it all the time this year. Is this season championship or bust for them?
For the Lakers?
No, that's for the Nets. But since you said it, Rob, on the other side, the Lakers have combined half of the 2013 All-Star team. You got names from Wazoo, a lot of them who do not have championships, Russell Westbrook and Carmelo Anthony. Dwight got his only championship while being on this Laker team 2 years ago. Is it championship or bust for the Lakers? Are we looking at 2 championship or bust teams coming out of both conferences where it's like, if you don't win, this was a failed season?
If the Los Angeles Lakers do not win a championship this year, it is absolutely a bust. That's what I'm talking about. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. There's no, like John would like to say, I want to see how this team fits together. I want to see, no. You don't go and trade for Russell Westbrook. You don't go pick up Carmelo Anthony. You don't go pick up Dwight Howard. You don't get Malik Monk and Kendrick Nunn and all these other players, Wayne Ellington, you name it.
Damn.
You name it. I'm just
the team for old folks home not to get a championship.
Right. And you don't have Anthony Davis and LeBron James have a full all season to recover and get true rim rest to make a deep playoff run. No, you do it to win a championship. That's what you do it for. So if we don't win a championship this year, it is absolutely a bust. And I don't care if we go against the Brooklyn Nets. I don't care if we go against the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't care if we go against Miami Heat. I don't care if the Clippers get John Wall. We better beat everybody and get a chip.
Respectfully.
John, you feeling the same sentiments?
I have no response. Rob said it all. That's exactly my thoughts. Championship or bust time. No excuses for nobody. Melo said it.
Can I ask you a question, John?
We old as hell, but we got a lot of wisdom. So I'm expecting at least the Lakers to go to the NBA Finals. That's the expectation.
What? Wait, John, hold on. You sound like you're backtracking. Is the expectation to go to the NBA Finals or the expectation to win the NBA Finals?
I said at least to go to the NBA Finals. They got to
win. There's no at least in this, John. Is it championship or bust? Or is it finals or bust?
It's championship or bust. But I honestly feel like the Lakers remind me a lot of that team with Kobe.
So you think it's going to be a bust?
Malone. I think it's a bust. 110%. It's a bust.
What?
It's a bust. But it is. They are in championship or bust mode.
Can I ask you a question now before I give my sentiment? Why is it not the same thing for the Brooklyn Nets? Or why wasn't it the same thing for the Brooklyn Nets last year? From you, specifically.
It wasn't for me because we know that Kevin Durant was coming off an Achilles injury.
Man, this some more bullshit.
They traded
Let him answer, Rob. Let him answer.
They traded mid-season for James Harden. Like, they had to learn how to gel. These dudes got a whole off-season working out together. LeBron James and Russell Westbrook putting out promo videos. And Dwight Howard already been a Laker before. He had that experience, right? So, like, it's not like it's foreign to them and they didn't have the proper time to set up. Mind you, the last season, we was in a pandemic. They was in pandemic. There was protocols set in place. They didn't have the same amount of preparation time. And y'all can call it whatever y'all want. This season is more in a regular landscape of basketball than it's ever been. Like, just keeping it a step. So that's different for me. You ask me what the difference is? Those.
I heard you. I do want to mention that, James Harden and Kevin Durant did play together before. They went to the NBA Finals before together. But
and Team USA and All-Star games and I digress.
I can't take this no more.
Anywho, it's not even a tricky question for me. It's dare or double dare. It's nothing else. It's a bust if they don't win a championship, and it could be a super bust depending on how the story goes. And I'll give you an example. If they don't make it to the NBA Finals.
Oh, it's a super bust. Super bust.
If they lose to James Harden and Kevin Durant for LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, we're talking about career status, big bust. If they lose to anyone that's not Giannis or, a Dame Lillard on Philly, then it's an even bigger bust because how the hell you lose to them? You ain't even have to play the Nets.
What if they lose to the Warriors? What if they lose to the Warriors?
I just said if they lose to anybody in the Western Conference, and that's including the Clippers. If they lose to anyone in the Western Conference, it's a bust. LeBron is in a situation. I don't see it being a situation like last year where it was against Chris Paul, someone that doesn't. Guys, I'm always thinking legacy here. I'm not thinking this season as a whole. I'm thinking the bigger picture. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, the Phoenix Suns, that doesn't hurt LeBron's legacy. The only thing that truly hurt LeBron's legacy there is going out in the first round. And because he hadn't done it in so long, to me, it didn't hurt his legacy. You can't
use that argument no more.
Right. No. No, you can't because he just did it this year. He's used his one mulligan. I will say that Kobe went out in the first round 2 times in a row, but again, I digress.
Why you bringing up old?
And then for this situation, Kevin Durant is the person on his heels. If in some opinions past and other opinions, he's right there next to him. For Russell Westbrook and James Harden, it's really a race to the championship first. Who was the bigger issue? That's what this is going to be about. If you can't win it with James, with Kyrie and Kevin Durant and Blake Griffin, then we're going to look at James Harden.
And LaMarcus Aldridge.
And LaMarcus Aldridge coming back after. And then on the other side, the Lakers, I mean, Russell Westbrook, you went to James Harden in Houston. You know, you tried it by yourself. You did it with Kevin Durant. Washington, we wasn't really expecting much, but here we are in LA and we're expecting it all now. This is the chance for either one of them to prove themselves. So they need it. Blake Griffin, an MVP candidate. Carmelo Anthony, an MVP candidate. What does their legacy state? You know, Blake Griffin, a championship would make Blake's legacy look a lot better when it's all said and done. Other side, Carmelo Anthony, I mean, he's already a Hall of Fame player. I think Blake Griffin is a Hall of Fame player too, but he's already a Hall of Fame player. A championship, you know, brings Carmelo into that top, depending on how it goes down, brings him into that top 20 of all time conversation. I think he can eclipse that top 20 for sure, you know, of all time. I'm not just talking about the last 30 years. I'm talking of all time. So he needs it. A lot of people need it here. Dwight, I mean, Dwight got all the accolades you can want, and he's been to the championship without these guys. Granted, he didn't win, but he's been there. He's ready. Dwight led his team there. Yeah, but he didn't. The same way it would be from, depending on what Melo's story is this year, I would look at it the same way I would look at Dwight's story with winning a championship. He was a piece. There was a time when Dwight Howard was the piece that was banked around to get to the championship, you know, defensive player of the year, 14 rebounds, 4 blocks, 26 points, things like that. He's not doing that. I'm not expecting that out of Melo, but you could get 18 out of Melo. Melo is still good for 18 a game. I think he's one of those scorers that will go down fighting, shooting 16 points a game, you know, all the way through. So it's really a catch-22. It's the ultimate Pandora's box here. The Lakers have to win the championship. And somebody this season is going to bust. I will say that much, because the Nets and the Lakers both can't win one. And then there's teams like Milwaukee and the Clippers that are saying, hey, we let y'all old people have your time. And then there's teams like the Golden State Warriors are saying, hey, we were hurt. We back. So it's going to be a fun season, in my opinion. Can't wait. I think I might have talked too much this time, y'all. I think we out of time. But until next time, please do not forget to like, subscribe, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Check us out, watch us, view us. We'll be putting some stuff up on our pages, so please check that out. But until next time, it has been 3 the Hallway for John, for Rob, for Ty. Until next time, y'all.